Ladies and gentlemen, will you please be upstanding for your Chairman of Council, Councillor Darshan Sangha.
Good evening, members. The first item is the webcasting introduction. Over to Mr. Woodall, please.
Thank you, Chairman. The Chairman would like to remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing or other such use by third parties. If you are seated in the lower public seating area, it is likely that the recording cameras will capture your image, and this will result in the possibility that your image will become part of the broadcast. This may infringe your human and data protection rights, and if you wish to avoid this, you should move to the upper public gallery. And can I also remind members to switch off their microphones when they're finished speaking, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woodall. Good evening, members again. My name is Darshan Sangha, and I'm the Chairman of Epping Forest District Council. Today is the 9th of April 2024, and I shall be presiding over this meeting. Item number 2 is apologies for absence, but before I do that, can I just say on the top table, if you wish to speak tonight, please turn your microphone on, and if you could draw your attention to the Vice Chairman, Councillor Les Burrows on my right, he will write that down on the names as they come in. So, Mr. Woodall, apologies for absence. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. We have apologies tonight from Councillors Bannott, Bob Jennings, Judy Jennings, Helen Kane, Sam Kane, Lyon, Macready, Caroline Pond and Sharif.
Thank you, Mr. Woodall. And any other off the floor? Councillor Jodie Lucas.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies for lateness from Councillor Tim Matthews.
Thank you. Any other members wishing to? No? Thank you very much indeed, members. Number 3 is declaration of interest. Members? None. Thank you very much. And item number 4 is minutes for our last meeting that was held on the 20th of February 2024. Members, can I have your consent to sign that meeting off as correct? Agreed. Thank you very much. Thank you. That leads me on to item number 5, the Chairman's announcements. Good evening, members, and welcome again. I do hope you've had a fantastic, good Easter break. This week is full of celebrations, and I would like to wish those in our community a very happy Eid tomorrow, I believe, and a happy Vaisakhi on Sunday this week. As you're aware, or you should know, this is my last full council meeting as Chairman of Council. Just letting that sink. My goodness, has this year passed so quickly, but I can look back on that year as being filled with lots of joy. This year really has opened my eyes to rich and varied community that we live and work in. I was delighted to host the Epping Forest District Council Civic Awards a few weeks ago and to recognise and celebrate some of those people for their achievements, success and unwavering dedication to this area and their communities. I'm sure if you attended the event, you will agree with me that the evening certainly celebrated the efforts of those remarkable people. Although my year is coming to a close, I'm incredibly lucky to still have a few events in the pipeline. So on the 21st of April, I've been invited to attend the Scouts Association Day of Celebration and Achievement at Windsor Castle, and in May to the Royal Garden Party in Buckingham Palace. Members, I must make reference to another special date. On the 1st of April, which was a couple of days ago, Epping Forest District Council celebrated its 50th year anniversary of the founding of this council in 1974. To commemorate the anniversary, a special edition of the Members' Bulletin has been prepared, as well as the names of the founding members of this council. The report, it itemises some of the most significant milestones of the last 50 years. I cordially recommend the report, which I hope members young and old will enjoy. Thank you very much, members. I'll move on to item number 6, which is public questions. Mr. Woodall.
We have none, Chairman.
Thank you. Item number 7 is questions by members under notice. Mr. Woodall, do we have any?
Yes, Chairman, we have one. It was received from Councillor Gabbett and it's on the supplementary agenda for Councillor Williamson to answer.
Councillor Gabbett, would you like to ask your question, then Mr. Councillor Williamson to respond? Thank you.
Okay. So my question is, what will District Council do to support safer roads within Buckhurst East and Whitebridge? This includes the time and effort you are investing in monitoring and lobbying the County Council to do more. We hear daily from our residents that they do not feel safe crossing our roads during the day and night with the traffic speeds or navigating the potholes and closed bridge walkways. Can you please tell us what is being done to support safer roads in our community?
Thank you, Councillor Gabbett. Councillor Ken Williamson to respond, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor, for your question. I presume that this stems from the tragic accident that occurred in Buckhurst Way in October 2021. Updating you and the members on the current situation, the information I have is that the criminal investigation has been concluded and the Coroner's Court will be reconvened on the 15th of August. Once that's concluded, Essex County Council will then take on board any recommendations. As you are aware, the matters are very much the responsibility of Essex County Council. You ask, what is the District Council's role in supporting safety on our roads? This is led from our local highways panel, which meets on a regular basis. The next meeting is on the 24th of June, and any comments you have would be appreciated, and we can take on board the comments you make. You also asked what I have specifically done in monitoring and lobbying for safer roads. As a member of Buckhurst Hill Council, I've been part of the team that purchased 2 speed indicator devices for deployment throughout the parish. I've liaised with the County Council Advance in getting an agreement in place to fix those devices to Essex lampposts, following surveys to ensure they are suitable and safe. Following this, I worked closely with officers at ESDC in the installation process. All of this work was a pilot project run by Essex County Council and is now available to all town and parish councils throughout the district, and probably across the whole of Essex as well. I think there is a basic misunderstanding in your question as to the role of ward councillors who are elected to represent their residents. I have checked with our county councillor, who has not received any emails, phone calls, messages or any communications from yourself. It could be said that whilst we have been working, some have regrettably been shirking. I think your party leader has let you down by not suggesting that this question is an inappropriate question at this particular time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Thank you very much. Okay, so will any other members? That was the only question, Mr. Woodall.
It was, Chairman, under notice.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 8, reports from the leader and the members of the Cabinet, pages 7 to 26. So if I can invite the Leader of the Council, Chris Whitbread, to go through for his report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And it's good to have an opportunity to report to the Council this evening. As a Council, I like to think we're forward-thinking and we're always moving forward. And as I drive past a new Epping Leisure Centre every day and see it coming up from the former car park to provide for the people of Epping and surrounding areas a great new centre for the future, it gives me great pleasure. But my meetings over the past month have been very much about looking forward and moving Epping Forest forward, and along with other neighbour councils, with North Essex councils. And I'm pleased to report we met with North Essex councils only a couple of weeks ago now. Really positive meeting of fellow council leaders with the mindset to work together more closely in the future, and in particular with our fellow councils in Colchester and Braintree, we are developing shared services. That's very much the way of the future and the way things are going. I'm also pleased to report that the North Essex councils are now starting to become a more consolidated group of councils with a vision for the future. And we actually now have a director who is taking forward some of those ambitions as we move forward. So that's good news, and it's looking forward. Then today I saw the future of Epping Forest because I attended the inaugural meetings of the Youth Council, the new youth councillors full of enthusiasm for their new role after being elected from their various schools. And I had the opportunity to sit in to listen to their pledges. And while I was sitting there, I'm thinking, that's tomorrow. We've got elections on May the 2nd, but those kids are the future. And they were already chirping quite loudly about what they want to see and what they would like to achieve in their 2 years on the Youth Council. So I was particularly pleased to do that. And then this evening, I had the opportunity, along with my Cabinet colleagues, to meet with Google and to listen to the prospects for a major investment in our district. Not just a nice receipt, as Councillor Phillip reported at budget, but the opportunity to hear about a future investment in our communities and opportunities for local people in the future, because actually what this council is about is investment and taking Epping Forest forward. So I was delighted. On those three things in one day have been really positive for Epping Forest, and just such good news. So, Chairman, short report, but one of optimism and opportunity.
Thank you, Leader. Is there any other councillor, Philip?
Thank you, Chairman. And members will remember that at the last full council I made this announcement, and unfortunately we still have a number of councillors who have not responded to the questionnaire for Ernst & Young. It's key that you do, because Ernst & Young has said that until all councillors, whether they're standing down at the election or not, have returned their form, their questionnaire, they cannot start the audit. Councillors, it's really, really easy. There are 5 questions. It took me all of 30 seconds to fill out because the answer was none, none, not applicable, no, none. And I think for the vast majority of councillors in this room, that is your answer. Please, councillors, if it's one thing that you can do in the next week, please make sure that you actually do that. You will have an email from Andrew Small at the beginning of January. Andrew, if you know who they are who haven't responded, I'll get Andrew to send it back out to people. Just please fill it in, and then Ernst & Young can't claim that it's us who are holding them up starting the accounts for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Phillip. Any other Cabinet members wishing to add to their reports? In which case, we'll move on to item number 9, questions by members without notice. We can allocate about 30 minutes to this. So, if I can have a show of hands, those wishing to speak. If you could keep your hand just for 2 seconds while the Vice Chairman is taking the names. Okay, keep your hands a while. I'll just go to the first person that's raised their hand. That was Councillor Rosebrooke.
Thank you, Chair. My question tonight is to Councillor Holly Whitbread, our Housing Cabinet member. As you said in your report, the tenants had a chance to ask questions about the developments on the Broadway. It was a virtual meeting in March, and the traders had a face-to-face meeting when 2 officers came to talk to the partnership, which was well attended. But I've had a question from a member of the public who is a leaseholder of the flats, and she asks, is it possible, please, to have a meeting face-to-face or virtual for the leaseholders who will be very much affected and have to pay something towards the new roof? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Councillor Holly Whitbread.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks, for that question. And absolutely, I think it's really important that leaseholders are engaged as well. So I'll instruct officers that such a meeting goes ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. If I can now move on to Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry, Councillor Richard Morgan.
Can the portfolio holder for Finance, Councillor John Phillip, confirm that, unlike many councils, we are spending all their property funds?
Councillor Phillip.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, and I was discussing this actually with our lead officer on economic development this morning. The government is quite concerned that a lot of councils around the country have not been spending the money that has been allocated through the Shared Prosperity Fund and the Rural Prosperity Fund. I can confirm that unlike those councils, we are spending everything that we possibly can, and we're making a significant impression across the district. In terms of both the Shared Prosperity Fund and the Rural Prosperity Fund, we're coming into the 3rd year. We've already spent money refurbishing down in Waltham Abbey the Ninefields Playground. We've implemented the Discover app, which goes across the district, and we think there's about 1,000 people using that on a regular basis. We helped refurbish a playground in Loughton, working with Loughton Town Council. We gave money to the Stanford Rivers Parish Hall. We did money towards North Weald for the dementia-friendly garden. We gave money to Thaden Boyce for a cemetery extension. And we also, in terms of economic stuff, we have funded cheap memberships to the Federation of Small Businesses for 2 years, and that has been really, really successful. Lots of people have taken up that offer, made use of the functions that the FSB gives them, and they're getting real benefit from it. We did a walking and cycling plan down in Waltham Abbey. We've put in business support functions in there through an external company. We funded the Meet the Buyer event that I talked about last time. And coming up in next year, in 2024, we'll be doing some work on the play area in Limes Farm. We're doing a rural area play area, probably in High Ongar. And we're also making a significant contribution towards St Andrew's Church, the Greenstead Church, in terms of their repairing of the roof. I've already mentioned before in this chamber doing work in Matching Green for their parking prevention. We've done work with Epping Upland for their cemetery work. We gave money in Nazing towards their cricket club functions. We did money towards the Thaden Garden Church roof. We've done stuff with this money across the district, and we've made sure it's hitting everywhere that we can go. It's really positive. We've spent our money. We will be spending it again next year. It's all lined up for that. I know that there are people who applied to the Rural Prosperity last year that we weren't able to fund out of that, but we have money again this year. We'll be going through those applications and hope to keep spreading that love across the district.
Thank you, Councillor Phillip. We'll go to Councillor Murray, please.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is... Thank you, Chairman. My question is about rural sewage and the river roading, which is an issue that affects much of the district. Does the Leader of Council share my concern, and is he aware that this is a real issue in the river roading? The information I have in front of me says that 6 of the Thames water sewage treatment plants upstream from Loughton and Thaden Boyce to White Roding were all overflowing over Easter. For almost 70 hours over Easter, the treatment works at Wollongale Village, which was only refurbished last year, was overflowing directly into the River Roding. And when I planned to ask this question, I didn't read the standard until last Thursday, because that's when it was published. Is the leader aware that the River Roding, apart from the Thames, is the worst river? In terms of hours of sewage, raw sewage going into the River Roding, 1,400 hours last year, which is almost 3 times the third worst river. So does the Leader of Council share my concern, and could he use his good offices with our MP to get the Environment Agency and Thames Water to start clearing up the River Roding?
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Whitbread.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Murray. I think that's a really pertinent question to ask at this time, and very important, not just to myself and not just to him, but this whole council. The River Roding is an important part of this district, and it is shocking that it's in that position. I'm more than happy to do anything I can from my offices to try and assist. I will speak to our MP, who I know will feel the same, and no doubt we will be speaking about it in the future. In fact, Councillor Murray was really quick to pick this up as soon as it became a major issue. I did pay close attention to his emails, and I know officers did as well. So it's a really good point to raise, Councillor Murray, and something that we will be working on, I'm sure, together.
Thank you, Leader. Next question is from Councillor Rizvi.
Thank you, Chairman. And my question is also for the Finance Portfolio Holder, Councillor John Phillip. Chairman, can I first go on record to pay my tribute and extend my thanks to Councillor Phillip and all of our wonderful officers who were involved in preparing the budget, which was voted through unanimously by members across all political groups at our last full council meeting. And Chairman, during times when we see many other councils nearby to us in financial turmoil and some of them declaring bankruptcy, I'm proud that Epping Forest is one of the most financially well-run councils in the country. So can the portfolio holder assure us that the council's finances are on a firm base and that we have the ability to react to any changes in our circumstances?
Thank you, Councillor Rizvi. Councillor Phillip.
Thank you, Councillor Rizvi. Yes, I was very pleased to be able to bring forward a budget that did have, unlike my local plan, something that everybody liked in it, as opposed to something that everybody hated. Yes, we're in a very strong financial position. We have the ability to react. I was talking to the leader only last night, was it? Last night, I think, in terms of place funding. Remember, in the budget, we put together a fund to allow us to do things to improve place. We have the leader has a number of local highway schemes that he would like to move forward, but there isn't enough money to do it. Those highway schemes clearly improved place. Two that I can think of that didn't make the cut that we will be able to fund from that place fund are the Culvers, which I know is dear to the leader's heart, and the Coppice Row scheme in Thaden Boyce, which is obviously dear to my heart. There are a number of other ones as well. This is a case of making use of small quantities of money out of that place fund to allow us to do work. You'll see later on in the agenda, we have a proposal to modify our capital projects budget. We can manage to do that. It's because we have that sound process, the sound basis to go forward, that we are in that position. And we know that coming into this next financial year, we will be in as good position going forward as we have been over the many past years that we've been able to keep our council tax rises to a minimum, frequently being able to raise it not at all. It's been very important, though, to make sure we do that without cutting services and keeping support out there. We've been able to do that, and we've done that year on year on year. And it's really important. The amount in the council tax budget that we take is not significant. We are only gathering, out of all the council tax money that we bring in from a Band D property, we only take £167. That is a very small amount of that. There are parish and town councils that are over half that. And if you look at what you get from the District Council for that £167, it's very, very impressive. It's great value for money, but we remain prudent and sound in our finance.
Thank you, Councillor Phillip. Next question is from Councillor Heap.
Thank you, Chairman. It's for the leader. Following on from his announcement about ever closer ties with North Essex councils, what steps is he taking to make sure that all the residents are informed of this and improve of this?
Councillor Whitbread.
Yep. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Heap, for probably one of your last questions at full council. Obviously, there is an important piece of communication that goes along with the North Essex councils, and we're looking forward to bringing reports to scrutiny committees in the very near future on how works are progressing. Every council has its own sovereignty, so that's important. Nothing has changed in that particular area. So every council retains its own sovereignty. What it is we want to work together to make sure we get the best value for money from projects and to actually make sure that we have a strong voice when talking to government or anyone else. The world is changing, and it is changing very quickly at the present time. We know that the devolution process that County was pursuing is currently on hold, and that will be pending the outcome of a general election at some point, probably in the coming year. So we will see, because any incoming government of any colour will have probably a refreshed look at devolution. But devolution is important to us, as we've all seen post-pandemic, that partnership working that we do, whether it be with health boards, whether it be with the county council, whether it is with fellow district councils, are going to be more and more important as we drive great value for money for our residents. But it's also going to be very important that we engage through the scrutiny process to make sure that everyone is kept informed of what's going on.
Thank you, Leader. We'll move on to the next on my list, I believe, is Councillor Kaufman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also grateful that we are a well-funded council. In my day job, I experience councils who are not as fortunate as us. There are lots of issues, though, in the local area that cause concern, and I would like, perhaps, if we could get our elbows out a bit, and I'm interested that my question is for Councillor Ken Williamson. It's really to do with traffic road management in the area. And today I was witness to absolute chaos in Debden, Rectory Lane, and now Epping Forest Retail Park, where it took people about an hour and a half to actually get out the car park, and there were basically people fighting in our car park because of the chaos of the roads. So partially, I was very pleased, I know the local highways panel have an influence. Thames Water seems to be causing absolute chaos. The roads are congested, we can't help that. We have no new road infrastructure in the local area. There has to be some liaison we can, or some resource we can call upon to help our residents. Certainly with the retail park, that retail park is being damaged now because people are being frightened to go there and shop, because when they go in, they can't get out. That's not acceptable. So we need an idea, a way to deal with that. I would like to understand how we liaise with Thames Water, infrastructure provider, to make sure that if there is going to be chaos, if roads are closed, even outside here tonight, there's chaos on our roads. And anything we can do would be much appreciated. I'm sure our residents would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kaufman. Who's going to take that? Councillor Phillip?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to just take the first bit in terms of the Epping Forest Shopping Park. I can confirm that we have commissioned work to redesign that car park to improve essentially the egress from the car park. The designs have been done. We're working at a project plan to actually get it done. We did not want to start it before Christmas because that was clearly not going to be a good time to do. So that work is in progress and we're working on it. I'll hand over to Councillor Wilkinson for anything else.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Phillip. Thank you, Councillor Hoffman, for your question. I will be liaising with officers to see what we can do. It is an ongoing problem, not just with Thames Water, but with other utilities as well. There's a lot of work going on in the district. We have old infrastructure and it has to be replaced. But I think you're absolutely right. We should be able to phase works in a much better way, and I will be liaising with officers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Williamson. Councillor Lisa Morgan. You have a question?
Yes, sorry, I did have two, but one's just been answered, thank you. The other one was for Councillor Holly Whitbread. I did ask back in December about EDMOs. You did come back to me in February, so thank you very much for that. But unfortunately, my question still wasn't answered. I wonder if you do have an answer to the question yet, whether officers have actually done any enforcements for EDMOs, and if not, will you come back to me before, obviously, the end of the month? Thank you.
Councillor Holly Whitbread.
Thank you, Chairman, and I believe officers came back with a very comprehensive response on that matter. I will gain clarity on the point of enforcement, but officers did provide a very comprehensive response. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitbread. Councillor Aniket Patel.
Thank you, Chairman. Before I ask my question, you mentioned about the illustrious history of this council celebrating 50 years. I just want to say and put on record how proud I am of the way that you've conducted yourself as Chair of the Council and throughout your civic duties this year. And I say this from a place of being the first Asian, the first Indian and the first Sikh to have chaired this council, so thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is to the Housing and Communities Portfolio Holder, Councillor Holly Whitbread. I have spoken to a number of residents over the last few weeks who have spoken very positively about the James Brokenshire Court. And I note recently that we had the opening, and I'd like to know when the keys will be handed over to this council.
Councillor Holly Whitbread.
Thank you, Chairman. And first, may I pay, I know this perhaps not the correct time, but pay a short tribute to Councillor Patel, who had the communities brief for a number of years, and as members in this chamber will know, Aniket, who I'm pleased to call a friend, always does everything with a great deal of passion for his residents in Buckhurst Hill, but also for the wider district. And I'm pleased that he asked this question today because we had the opening of James Brokenshire Court last month. It was a great opportunity to show off a not quite finished new council house development in our district. This is a 7-unit development built on a previously developed garage site. And actually this is testament to what we're doing as a council, one of the only councils in the country actually to have a council house building programme delivering hundreds of new affordable homes for local people who have lived in the area for at least 7 years. The keys for that property will be handed over in the summer, and it will be great to see local families and individuals take those homes up. And actually, I would say, and we're all up for election, so who knows, this could be my last meeting. As a councillor over the last 8 years, I can say that ensuring that we're still delivering council homes and we protect our HRA housing stock to make sure local people have an opportunity at affordable housing is something that I've done with great pride. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Whitbread. Councillor Gabbard, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Firstly, I would also like to say congratulations on the celebrations marking the 1974 founding of Epping Forest Council. And it was wonderful to read how many first appointments you have supported for women and the changes that have happened during this time. However, I noted that some of the surrounding councils have signed up to change the race ratio, a senior leadership campaign that sets out a commitment to building more diverse and inclusive workplaces. And I wonder if more could be done to support diverse representation within Epping Forest Council. When I look around, I, like many of the residents I've spoken to, do not see myself represented here. And it appears that the pace of change since 1974 is still a little slow. My question is, as the diversity within the population increases in Epping Forest, what is the council doing to support or introduce new initiatives that address this, so that in the next 50 years we may have other reasons to celebrate so much more?
Councillor, I think the leader should take that.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, we certainly do have a proud history. Councillor Gabbard, I look at Epping Forest and I see how it's changed in my 12 years leading the council. We have taken giant leaps forward. And I do believe this council reflects our community that we serve. And I think that's most important. We've had the youngest councillors. We've had councillors from our youth council. We've covered all parts of our community. And that's why I think we're a successful council. And we build upon that success as we go forward. The workforce that we have in Epping Forest has always been first class, and I'm very proud of them, and I'm very proud of what we achieve. Obviously, post-pandemic, the world has changed an awful lot, and we are in that process and part of change and building the workforce of tomorrow. And it's not just about the makeup of that workforce, it's about what that workforce will be required to do. In recent weeks, I've chaired conferences on AI, I've seen a whole range of new technologies that are coming into play. And it was even, when we met with Google this evening, you see the range of things that they're now doing. So, yes, I agree with you, Councillor Gabbett, we need to have a reflective workforce that is appropriate for the modern world and the communities that we serve, but we also have to have a workforce that's fit for the future. So I look forward to working on that once we get back after the election and taking that forward.
Thank you very much, Leader. So the next question I've got on my list is it Councillor Brady? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, could I ask the relevant portfolio holder in charge of the highway rangers to just explain quite what they're doing? Because as far as we can see in the villages and the towns, they are doing a very, very useful job, but I think they often go under the radar. Things happen, suddenly things have been improved, and we're not quite sure who's done it. So it's not Pixies, it is the highway rangers. So if that portfolio holder could tell us, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brady. Councillor Williamson, you're on your feet again.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you for the question. I'm always very happy to stand up and support the highway rangers. I think it's one of the jewels in our crown. In fact, they were part of my earlier answer. The highway rangers actually installed the speed indicator devices in Buckhurst Hill and are available to all other town and parish councils. Get your bids in now. Yeah, they have been doing extensive work throughout the district. In Bobbingworth, Toot Hill, Matching Tye, Epping Upland, Bumbles Green, Low Hill Road, Roydon, Nasing Road, and fly posting and street furniture across the district. A lot of the work they've been doing is cleaning the signs. They are in a dreadful state in a lot of places. So again, let them know where you have a problem, and we'll see if we can fit it in. As I say, I'm always happy to speak about the highway rangers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Councillor John Whitehouse.
Thanks, Chairman. I'm afraid this is also for Councillor Williamson. I was going to ask him about something that's not in the report, which is a Planning Advisory Service review of planning services. I mean, he'll recall there's some talk of it coming to February's council meeting. It didn't come to that meeting. Clearly, it's not come to this meeting. It's January they visited. And I just wondered if you could update us on the reason for the delay and whether the council's received the report and what the next steps are. Thanks, Chairman.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you for the question. Yeah, very recently the report has been received. It is being looked at in detail as to the way forward. It will come to all the usual scrutiny. It is a work in progress, but it will come to Cabinet, to scrutiny and to this council.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Councillor McIver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In England, cash is legal tender, and I was shocked recently to learn of a resident who wanted to pay for their council tax in cash but was unable to do so. So may I ask the Cabinet Member for Finance to reassure us that that would not be the case and that it is possible to pay your council tax in cash, and could he explain how? And does he also agree with me that it would be somewhat disrespectful to our late Queen and our serving King if we was unable to accept a method of payment with their faces on?
Councillor Phillip.
Thank you, Councillor McIver. I think I'll steer well clear of that last comment in terms of faces on banknotes. But yes, I can assure you that it's quite possible to pay for your council tax by cash. Indeed, it's possible to pay all the things that we're looking for by cash, whether that be council tax or business rates. And it's really important that our residents and our businesses do pay the council tax and the business rates. I think I mentioned already, it's not a very large council tax as far as the district council is concerned, but you can pay it by cash. And the way that's done is people need to have an all-pay card. And we have the ability and numbers on the website that you can phone up and get an all-pay card or report it lost if you've lost it. Using that, you can pay at any all-pay location, and there's loads of them across the district. So you can do that. Do keep your receipt when you make a payment with the all-pay card, because that's the record that you've actually paid. Alternatively, we do still have benefit staff available on a Monday and Thursday in the council offices if people have problems, so they can come and speak to people then. But cash, I will accept money in any form.
Thank you very much, Councillor Phillip. So we'll move on to our very final question from Councillor Chris Pond.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, as Councillor Brady said, this is to the Cabinet member whom it may concern. Transport for London are a major player in the transport arrangements for Epping Forest, and without them we would be in lumber. But I wanted to allude particularly to the major transport interchange in the district, which is Loughton Railway Station. It's a lovely station, having been built anew in 1940, very distinct architectural style, but it is impossible for my disabled constituents to use. It is possible to use Epping after a fashion, it's possible to use Debden, and it's possible to use Buckers Hill, but it is possibly in the too difficult list. Could whichever Cabinet member has the job of liaising with Transport for London take this up vigorously, and also the very shambolic arrangements to and from Debden Station, which is DDA compliant, but these stations between them have a passenger throughput almost as large as many big provincial cities, and the arrangements for less able people to use them are very poor.
Thank you, Councillor Pond. Councillor Whitbread.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Pond, and a very important question, I think, about our liaison with Transport for London, who are causing problems all over the place at the moment with different bits and pieces. And I take on board your points about Loughton Station. I also think about Epping Station with a major pothole in their area that they refuse to fill. The litter all down the footpath down to the station. They just don't play their part and engage properly with our communities. I have to say, and looking back, we used to actually invite some of these bodies to overview and scrutiny to answer questions, and I think maybe it's time to do that again. I think they need to be invited to our major overview and scrutiny committee, and I think we should give them a good roasting.
Thank you very much. We'll move. So that is the end of our 30 minutes. Thank you very much for all your contributions, and thank you to some of the very kind words that have been said to myself and Councillor Annika Patel. Thank you, and wishing you all the best in your endeavours as well. We'll move on to item number 10, motions. Mr. Woodall, do we have any motions?
We have no motions for consideration tonight, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 11 is report of the Cabinet, pay policy statement, pages 27 to 32. So I'm assuming Councillor Whitbread?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. This report went to Cabinet. It's now brought here for agreement of Council. It's a standard report we have to do every year. Happy to take any questions, but won't go into detail, Chairman.
Members, any questions? Councillor Whitehouse. John Whitehouse.
Thanks, Chairman. I should make the point I usually make on the pay policy report, which is I am still of the view that it makes sense for the Qualis pay policy to be incorporated into this pay policy as well. And it's a company that forms part of our group accounts. It's a company that we're the shareholder of, the lender to, that carries out services on behalf of the council. It's not like BIFA, which was a suggestion made by someone a couple of years ago in terms of why we should not include their remuneration. I think if we had, we might have picked up a couple of the issues that came up about paying people on both sides of the organisation previously, which has now been resolved. But yeah, I remain of that view, and I'd encourage the Cabinet and officers to add to the pay policy in future. There's a minimum you need to require in the pay policy. It doesn't stop you going beyond the minimum.
Thank you, Councillor Whiter. So, members, can I have your agreement to that pay policy statement? Agreed? Thank you very much. So, move on to item number 13, which is the report of the Audit and Governance, 12, beg your pardon, sorry, report of the Constitution Working Group, a review of Article 17, access to information, pages 33 to 50. Now, I believe that Councillor Lyon is not here today, and I was hoping that our monitoring officer would take that report. So, do we have... Sorry, bear with me 1 minute. Can I just take this to... Oh, sorry.
Chairman, I'm Vice Chairman of the
Thank you.
group. As Councillor Lyon isn't here, then I will introduce the item. The Constitution Working Group has been working to make the Constitution a more accessible and readable document. And this is the latest bit that we've been working on. As the report says, there's the terms key decisions and forward plan have been used interchangeably in the Constitution, so that's being tidied up. It's always going to be the forward plan in the future. We also discovered that some of the practices we have are not things that are in the Constitution, so it needs to be updated for that. And most importantly is Appendix 2, which is about the conventions about the relationship between council, the council groups and councillors and officers. I wonder how many of you were aware that that was in the Constitution, because obviously that tells you how you can interact with officers at times. And obviously it's important officers also know about this, and as part of their induction at the meeting of the panel, we weren't quite sure whether that was actually happening, but that was going to be followed up. So I ask you to approve these amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whiter. Members, any questions, or can we approve that report? Thank you. Agreed. Can I just take a pause? Councillor Murray, would you like to take a glass of water or something? Because I know you're struggling there.
No, I'm fine, thank you, Chairman. Without making a political point, members might like to know that I've been on a waiting list for 9 months to see a consultant.
Sorry, we will move very speedily to the next item. Right, report. Item number 30 is report of the Audit and Governance Committee, appointment of co-opted members, page 51. Councillor Peter Bolton, would you please take us through that? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll keep both of my items brief, I believe.
Could you please?
Yeah. I'll get clear. Perhaps I've got taller. Sorry. We recently held interviews for our vacant independent members of this committee, and we were fortunate to have some good applicants. And I would like to put the names forward for acceptance of the two that we felt were very strong candidates, Cecil Heiberg and Hardal Singh, who also comes under the name of Harry. And I would like to recommend them to you that they can then be officially members of the Audit Committee. We've been rather light on independence until recently, and this is, I recommend. So
members, can we agree on that? Sorry, Councillor Phillip.
Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. And I welcome this report. I was briefed by Mr. Small on the interview process. I was very glad to see that there were members of the Audit and Governance Committee taking part in those interviews. And I believe that we had a very good selection of applicants, and the two we selected are the best. So I'm quite happy to support it. I would just like to put on record for the whole council our sincere thanks to Tony Jarvis for his years of service on audit and governance. He did a sterling amount of work, particularly when he ended up being the only independent member, and took a significant amount of the burden there. And it would be wrong for us to let this day go past without recording our thanks to Mr. Jarvis for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, can we agree on that report? Agree. Thank you. Item number 14, I think, Peter, Councillor Bolton again. Report of the Audit and Governance Committee again. Anti-fraud and corruption strategy, pages 52 to 79.
Yes, it says here the report of the Audit and Governance Committee, and then a sub-bit which is about anti-fraud and corruption, which is in the agenda. I'm therefore not going to report on the actual normal actions of the Audit and Governance Committee, except to say that we have had liaisons with the external auditor, and things are improving from that point of view, and they will be getting their reports ready for us much earlier than previously. And I again reiterate, Tony Jarvis was a very astute member of this committee and asked some nice questions, kept us all on our toes, and yes. I won't go through the anti-fraud and corruption strategy in great detail, which you have here, but it's quite interesting if you delve into it and read it. Some of it's very reassuring. There's one little bit that you might warn you about, which is under fraud. If someone is suspected of fraud, if you, as a member of this council, tip off that person, that is a criminal offence, and you can be imprisoned for up to 5 years. It's a salutary warning that gossip could be quite. I would say that report fraud. There is a fraud investigating officer who keeps an eye on this and reports back to us on a very regular basis. There is also a money laundering reporting officer who is Andrew Small and his deputy, who deal with that and have to be very careful how they handle, and there is a reporting mechanism that is given in detail in the minutes. I invite any questions about things that have been happening in this committee. I may not be able to answer them all, but I will delegate to my officer colleague. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bolton. Your report. I think we've got a question, Councillor Murray. Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Chairman. I found this a very interesting report. I read it very carefully, and my question relates to page 58. And on page 58, section 5, key fraud and corruption risks, and it outlines a whole number of possible risks. And my reading of this was not that this wasn't a copy and paste job that could have been for any local authority. It says, to understand the nature of these risks, the following have been identified as key issues that are relevant to EFDC. Is that because they're relevant to any district council, or have we got reasons to be concerned? I could pick any of these, but 3 were of particular interest to me. The first 2, and it wasn't just because they were top of the list. So social housing tenancy fraud, I would be interested in, and I mean, I'm not necessarily expecting an answer tonight. I would be interested in the estimated scale or evidence that we have of that. The right to buy scheme, fraudulent applications and suspected money laundering. Again, I would be interested in what evidence and the scale of that. And then one other that particularly caught my eye, because I know it's a growing issue, HR-related fraud, where false information is given on job applications and bogus qualifications. So I think my general comment at this stage, or general question at this stage, is this list in section 5 something that's particular to Epping Forest, or are we saying that these are risks that are there for any district council? And Chairman, if I could just make one personal remark, this is going to be my last contribution tonight as far as I'm aware. As there's a 50-50 chance that I won't be back next year, could I say that most of the 42 years I've enjoyed most of the 42 years.
Thank you. Councillor Phillip.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll take some of those. Yes, we have actually looked at these, particularly in relation to Epping Forest District Council, at audit and governance, and I sometimes stand up here and encourage people to come to audit and governance, and sadly, apart from the members of the committee, nobody ever does. But it is actually a very interesting committee. There's lots of good stuff that goes on there. We look at our risk register on a regular basis. We look and we get a report on our internal fraud department who comes forward with things like this. There's been a lot of evidence, Councillor Murray, that since we started investigating every single right to buy application, when the internal fraud people get involved, miraculously, a significant percentage of those applications go away and go no further. So I think there is a significant amount of evidence that those areas are particularly important. We do keep a very close eye on fraud across the council. These are ones that we've identified as having the highest probability of happening here. That doesn't mean that they will, but it likewise doesn't mean that it won't. And really, vigilance is the only approach to that. And if we do find things, we do pursue it with the full force that we're entitled to, because in the end, it's our residents' money, and if people are committing fraud, they're taking money out of our residents' pockets, and I don't like that.
Thank you, Councillor Phillip. I'm led to believe that at the Audit and Governance Committee, the anti-fraud corruption strategy is presented by the fraud investigation officer, so he does present these reports regularly, and like Councillor Phillip said, we would encourage members to attend these meetings so you can get a full flavour of what it's all about. Councillor Heap.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sure there won't be wailing and gnashing of teeth at my departure from this place, but there is one issue that still needs discussing. And it does come under fraud and corruption, although I'm not necessarily accusing anybody of that, but it is true that the planning, enforcement and legal departments included lies on a prosecution document against a resident, and that's not been addressed properly as of yet.
Thank you.
I don't expect an answer.
So, Councillor Williamson, did you want to take that?
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Heap, this has been exhaustively looked into and gone through. I really don't know what more we can say to you. It has been looked at. It has been reported. Unfortunately, the reports that you've been given do not seem to fit the fiction that you're trying to make fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. So, members, can we agree this report that Councillor Bolton has put forward? Thank you very much. That leads us on to item number 15, Overview and Scrutiny Committee report from the Chairman. Is it Councillor Wixley? Thank you.
Right, thank you, Chairman. There isn't a great deal that I can report because our last meeting was on the 23rd of January, and I've given reports on that meeting at past meetings. I think I will remind members that our next meeting is on the 23rd of April, and this is, I think, always the last Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting of the council year, and I think it's a special meeting because it's a meeting where the Youth Council attend, and I think lots of members look forward to that. And in this case, it's, as I think has been mentioned earlier, it's a newly elected Youth Council, and I think they formally took office yesterday. So I would urge members to attend that. I think they'll find it interesting. Just to add to my report, I thought I'd do an end-of-term report as we're coming to the end of the council year. And that is to say that Overview and Scrutiny Committee have had 5 meetings up to the 23rd of January. And I think the most significant of those was the meeting held on the 12th of December, which was a private meeting between Overview and Scrutiny Committee and the Cabinet. And that's where we discussed the budget setting process. It was part of the budget setting process. I think, from my point of view, I was pleased with the contribution that the ONS committee made to that process. And in view of that, and also looking back at the rest of the year, I'd like to thank my fellow members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee for their contributions throughout the year. And I mention especially my Vice Chairman, Jamie McIver. And Jamie's got a great sense of humour. And let's face it, with me chairing the committee, he probably needs to have a great sense of humour. I'd also like to thank officers who contributed to the Overview and Scrutiny Committee process throughout the year. And especially, again, I'd like to mention Laura Curran, who dealt with the agendas and minutes of the meetings. And also our 151 officer, Andrew Small, who was very helpful. And I think sometimes you get lucky in life. And I was lucky to have the support of Laura and Andrew throughout the last few months. And that was going to conclude my report, but in view of what the leader said a few minutes ago, and this has been my last full council meeting, I'm going to be very disappointed not to be around as chairman of Overview and Scrutiny Committee next year, because I would like to have contributed to giving Transport for London a roasting.
Thank you very much for your report, Councillor Wixley. Yeah, and thank you for all of what you've done during the last 12 months. Councillor Whitbread.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. And can I say thank you to Councillor Wixley? You had a tough act to follow in following Councillor Kane, but you've done it so brilliantly. And thank you for all that you've done. I'm sad that you're not standing for election this time, because it would have been great to have you there again for another year. We seem to be blessed with very good overview and scrutiny chairmen. We've had a history of them, and again, you'll be a really tough act to follow. So thank you very much. It's been a very good year.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Murray.
Apologies, Chairman. It's always dangerous for me to say it's the last time I'm going to speak. But I wanted to say thank you to Councillor Wixley. First of all, our last meeting of ONS was a really important meeting. It was where we were able to interrogate's probably the wrong word, but we are talking about the police, so I suppose they interrogate people. We can interrogate them in a positive way, in a supportive way. But it was a really good meeting where we were able to discuss detailed issues of policing. I want to add my thanks to Councillor Wixley for his chairing of ONS. I've obviously worked with him really closely as a Loughton councillor, so I also wanted David to thank you for your length of service as a district councillor, and you have been a first-class representative for Fairmead Ward. I've picked up numerous compliments about how you have dealt with people's concerns and people's issues, and I don't mean this in a funny way, but you seem to be very good at caring and supporting elderly ladies that need the need the help of their local councillor, and you have got a first-class reputation in Fairmead Ward. Take it from me, because I hear it all the time from people. And can I lastly say, it's always sad to lose a Leyton Orient supporter and season ticket holder from this council. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Councillor Murray, for your very last question. Councillor Wixley, you wanted to come back?
I was quite surprised about the reference to elderly ladies. And, I have to say, I just wonder if it's a case of mistaken identity.
Thank you, members. Can we? Well, there's yes, just to note for noting. Yeah, noted. Thank you. Item number 16 is joint arrangements and external organisations report. Do we have any representatives on external bodies here tonight to report back? I'm looking around the room. Normally would have been Helen Kane. No? Okay, so in which case we will move to item number 17, exclusion of public and press. So if the gallery is cleared,